In this video, we're gonna do a little unboxing and installation to show you guys how to get these on your bikes. When you first get the box, you'll notice right on top is the installation manual. There are two boxes, two parts, so you will have to do some assembly before you install it on the bike. The first part is the actual adapter. And so these are the two sets of screws. Short ones for the Pignose, and then the longer ones to mount it onto the bicycle itself. So basically, when you're putting it together, this hook would go on the inside. The two shorter screws would go here. The two longer screws would mount onto the bracket. Or if your bike already has a Pignose mount, then that's where we would use the two longer screws. And then in the other box is the part that actually mounts to the bike. Again, we've got some of the mounting hardware here. And once again, just to show you really quickly, this would mount here like that, okay? And then this would mount here like that. And I've actually got it visually. I said it was upside down. You can do it either way. These are retaining screws, so when you get the Pignose actually mounted onto the bike and you screw in the I guess you would call them pinch bolts, you would lock them in with this retaining screw. It's just like a seat belt, basically. I don't like to look at them, so I would turn it upside down. That's why I said, to me visually, I like it better this way. So when you're looking down, you don't see those retaining screws. So that's the brief unboxing. You can see the various parts that you would be getting. You can see we have the pieces and the tools that we'll be using. It's a 5mm Allen and a 3mm Allen are the tools we'll be using. Everything else that you see will be coming with the Pignose when you order it. So we're gonna start with these two pieces here with the 5mm fasteners, and we're just going to put these, line up these two pieces and line up the hole. Just drop that fastener in there and screw it in. You may have to slide it around to align the hole with the fastener. Give it a little last turn for tightness. Now, before I move on, you'll notice that it's a smooth black surface here, and then you'll see that there's holes for two screws, two little screws. These are little retaining screws that once you get everything assembled and mounted onto the bike, you would screw in those retaining screws with a 2mm Allen, and those just lock the screws, the fasteners that you would use to secure it to the bike, just preventing it from accidentally loosening up. That's what those two are for. But we've got the first part assembled. Now we're gonna move to the second part. We're gonna get our 3mm Allen that we have here, and we're gonna mount this bracket next. Again, we're gonna line up the holes. The nice thing about these screws is the screw and the holes are countersunk, so it'll make it easier to line up the threads. Just like that. Finish with a little tightness. Just like that. You can see we've got about 60% of the way there. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the actual bracket that actually holds the accessories on. And again, everything fits in neatly, nests in place, so you don't really, there's no guesswork. And we're gonna take the second set of the longer 3mm Allen fasteners, start the thread by hand, and these are also countersunk, makes it easier. Give that a little tight. And that is the Pignose fully assembled. Again, we take the 2 halves of the mounting bracket, and you would take the other set of 5mm fasteners. And in the second half of the video, you'll see how we mount it onto the bike. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just gonna drop these bolts on here just to get everything ready. Like this. You'll notice there's a bridge going across. I mount like this. So this is on the bottom relative to the bike, not like this, just like that. All right, so now that we've got everything assembled, let's go ahead and get it onto the bike. So we've got our 2 halves. I've already got 1 bolt threaded through the retaining clip. You'll also notice I'm starting with the tool. I don't like to do that. I like to start by hand. But in this case, because of the recess, how the screw is inside, it's hard for me to start this by hand, so I'm gonna have to start it by the tool. Just give it a few turns. Make sure everything's spinning freely, it's not tight. Seems to be secure, so we're gonna do it the next one, next side. Again, just make sure everything spins freely, nothing is seized or tight. Now that I've got both of them installed, both of the nuts installed, I'm gonna rotate this forward. And here's very important, okay? See, there's an hourglass shape here, and it's flat, and then it's flat here. You wanna mount the Pignose onto the flat part. Important, you do not wanna mount it low onto this black ring here, because that will affect your turning. It'll make your steering very, very stiff. So just make sure it's mounted above that black ring and still within the widest part of this part of the bike is called the head tube, and this hourglass kind of shape here. Just make sure it's mounted to the widest part. And for visual sake, just make sure it's aligned with the frame, not with the wheel. You can see the wheel's at about a 45-degree angle. But it's aligned with the frame, okay? And now we're gonna lock everything in by tightening everything up. Just like that. And then we're gonna use this side of the Allen to tighten it up. Just like that. And then just again, now that we got both sides tightened up, you want to visually check, make sure the handlebar spins freely like this. The mount doesn't move or spin. And once you're confident you've got everything tightened up, put back together, all retaining bolts tightened up, you are good to go. And then in the final part of this video, we're just going to show you a couple of accessories that we have that you can purchase directly from us. But this is a pretty standardized mounting, and so if there's a third-party accessory that you guys have been, have your eye on, go ahead and use that if it works. But we do have 3 different types of racks and bags currently that we will be talking about. This one is essentially like a rear rack, but for the front part of your bike. There are some bags that are made specifically to be used with these front types of racks. And then basically they just slide on until they click, and then they slide off to release. There is another type of rack that we will be carrying, and this one is more designed for larger bags like backpacks, sling bags, and things like that you might have that you want to strap onto your bike. So this type of rack will accommodate that. Again, we pull the trigger back, we give it a little pop to release. You have a bag, it's like a grocery type of bag that utilizes that same rack that I had mentioned or showed you previously, except this one has the bag attached to it. So if I actually slide this off, you can see in the back, it actually has that rack that I showed you, but this one comes with a bag. And the nice thing about this bag is not only does it mount to the front, you can carry your groceries, or maybe even your little furry friends would enjoy a little ride in the front here. But the nice thing about this bag, it's really designed for your groceries. You put your things in there, and then when you're done, you release it. When you actually pull up on the bag, it closes, so you don't, nothing drops or anything like that. And then while you have it on your shoulder, it's closed. If you are riding and it starts to rain, it comes with a little waterproof cover. And just keep in mind the cover goes on like that, so you have the reflective strip facing the front, not facing the back. And so that way it gives you a little extra visibility. But yes, this is a separate bag that we carry. One thing you want to make note of is that your cables, when they're routed, if you do have a wider bag, just keep your cables tucked behind so you still have freedom of movement. You can still turn safely. And this concludes our Pignose installation and unboxing video.